KAYU.
Oh, it's a White House consultant of a slightly different kind. There are reports President and Mrs. Reagan sometimes consult an astrologer before scheduling major events. Newsweek magazine said former Chief of Staff Donald Reagan will reveal the astrological connection in his upcoming book. NBC says the president's schedule has even been changed because of what the astrologer said. UPI, though, said a White House spokesman denies the president consults an astrologer before making any of the big decisions. But he confirmed the Reagans read their horoscopes every day. If the polls are correct, Michael Dukakis should like what he sees when the votes are counted in Tuesday's presidential primaries. The latest surveys show the Democratic frontrunner well ahead in both Ohio and Indiana. Rival Jesse Jackson is expected to win in the District of Columbia. Jackson continues to take his shots at the Reagan administration, but he's not limiting his attacks to the White House. Campaigning in Ohio Monday, he leveled his sights on Dukakis. Pat Dawson reports.
The evidence of Jesse Jackson's commitment to stay the course in Campaign 88 was clear.
The struggle did not start in Iowa. It started in Montgomery, Alabama. It will not end in Atlanta.
A commitment that isn't good news for Michael Dukakis, something that Jackson made starkly clear from the start of his last day of campaigning in Ohio.
So far, Dukakis has operated with caution when we must, in fact, operate with courage, clarity, and candor.
The challenge to Dukakis began early at the house of a steelworkers family in Berea, Ohio, where the candidate spent Sunday night. His first target was the Reagan administration, Jackson asserting that the Republican economic expansion was illusory.
If you want to know how the economy is doing, let's look from the bottom up. Ask 650,000 family farmers how the economy is doing. Ask steelworkers in the Mon Valley how the economy is doing.
But as he has for the last several days, the candidate quickly moved on to criticism of his Democratic rival.
I challenge Mr. Dukakis to put forth a budget and a plan to declare a real and not a phony war on drugs.
It was clear throughout the day that Jackson has become increasingly frustrated by the Massachusetts governor's unwillingness to enter into a debate on the issues, especially issues that Jackson feels he's taken the lead on, like drug abuse and relations with South Africa. And the candidate suggested Dukakis has yet to undergo the degree of scrutiny that the rest of the Democratic field has been subjected to.
And the media challenged me to show how I would pay for my dreams of daycare and education and infrastructure. And I have done just that. And so far, the governor has not, and the media has not challenged him vigorously to do so.
It's clear that even if Michael Dukakis is on a non-stop march to the Democratic nomination, Jesse Jackson is not going to go away. So far, the governor has managed to remain aloof, refusing to respond to the various challenges on the issues. But Jackson seems intent on turning up the heat day by day. Pat Dawson, CNN, Cleveland.
George Bush's campaign may get a presidential boost Tuesday. President Reagan's expected to endorse Bush following his certain victory in Ohio. Bush already has enough delegates to capture a first ballot nomination at the Republican convention. It was pomp and circumstance Monday for one of the men indicted in the Iran-Contra affair. Oliver North delivered the commencement address at Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia. He told the 900 graduating students in a crowd of about 10,000 he is not ashamed of anything he has done.
From certain commentaries in the media, it is clear that some believe once a man is accused, he is branded forever. Well, I have been accused of helping the brave young men and women of the Nicaraguan resistance in their struggle for the very liberties that we claim as birthright. I have been accused of trying to rescue American hostages held captive and of trying to prevent other terrorist attacks. Those accusations are not a brand. They are a badge of honor.
Liberty founder Reverend Jerry Falwell says he has 600,000 petition signatures in a campaign to get North pardoned. A Japanese man arrested in New Jersey last month with 3 bombs was reportedly on his way to hit targets in New York. Monday's Wall Street Journal quotes U.S. intelligence sources as saying the UN building and a USO club near Times Square were targeted for the attack. The paper said Yu Kikamura, an alleged member of the Japanese Red Army terrorist group, may have been working for Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Israel is combing southern Lebanon for Palestinian guerrillas. Lebanese police say at least 3 Palestinians have been seized in the Syrian-controlled Bekaa Valley. Israel admits its forces have entered Lebanon, but says the offensive includes less than 2,000 men and is restricted to its self-declared security zone. Israeli officials say the soldiers are sweeping the zone for Palestinian guerrillas who have intensified their commando missions across the Israeli border. Last week alone, 5 Palestinian intruders and 2 Israeli soldiers died in 2 separate incidents in northern Israel. Israel says its troops will withdraw when their operation ends in a day or 2. A week of labor unrest in Poland is giving some new strength to the outlawed Solidarity trade union. Representatives of Solidarity are calling Polish authorities to return a legal status to that union. The call came as thousands of workers staged a strike at the birthplace of Solidarity, the Lenin shipyard in Gdansk. Solidarity founder Lech Wałęsa endorsed the walkout. Management has agreed to meet with the strike committee Tuesday. Workers are demanding pay raises of up to 60%. In Nicaragua, a hunger strike by some 100 workers is in its 8th day. The auto mechanics, construction, and restaurant workers are pressing demands for themselves and 5,000 co-workers who've been off the job for more than 2 months. The government has cut off their water supply and reportedly phone service. Lucia Newman has more from Managua.
President Daniel Ortega put on a brave face as he led the government's annual May Day march in Managua. But this year, it's clearer than ever that there's nothing for Nicaraguan workers to celebrate. In comparison to other years, the turnout was dismally poor, a litmus test that shows that the Sandinistas are losing the confidence of the working class amid the nation's worst-ever economic crisis. On the other side of town, opposition trade unions used May Day to voice their discontent over skyrocketing unemployment, starvation wages, and what they call government repression against workers. In the last few days, authorities have arrested dozens of dissidents in an unprecedented crackdown against striking unionists.
They're fighting on ideas and ideals with force.
Defense Minister Humberto Ortega claims government opponents are promoting labor unrest to give a boost to the Contras, while fragile rebel Sandinista ceasefire talks are still taking place. The lack of progress made in the last round of negotiations in Managua on the very eve of May Day came as a hard blow to the Sandinistas, who see peace as the only way out of the nation's economic turmoil. They say Contra hardliners are sabotaging peace efforts.
We are offering them a fair electoral participation.
But in his fiery May Day speech, President Ortega said the Contras should be grateful that the Sandinistas were offering them a political solution, rather than sending them to the guillotine as they deserved. If the rebels and the internal political opposition refuse to play ball, they'll be eliminated. And that also goes for trade unionists, from the political left to the extreme right, who are quickly becoming a powerful force to be reckoned with. Opposition labor leaders say that next week there'll be more strikes and more confrontations with authorities. Many Sandinista officials admit that Nicaragua's deteriorating economy, along with growing labor unrest, poses an even greater threat to the government than the Contras. Lucia Newman, CNN, Managua.
Coming up on Headline News, scientists are holding out hope an anti-clotting drug can be useful against AIDS.
Would you step in that circle for some Godfather's pizza? Godfather's pizza with all your favorite toppings. The taste worth doing anything for.
Got anything to drink?
For a limited time, get any large pizza for the price of a medium.
Discover the new wave of sport and performance boats from Sunrunner Marine. Whatever your boating style, overnight on the lake, a week offshore, or just drifting and dreaming, Sunrunner designs a boat just for you. 16.5-foot to 31.5-foot Sunrunner models with savings from $2,000 to $20,000. No down payment, total financing, even the sales tax. Sunrunner boats with limited forever fiberglass warranty at U.S. Motor City and Marina. An adventure that just begins when you visit them.
Fire up with the men of May.
Hey, I like that.
As they said, KAYU ablaze with mystery.
Tell me, now what do you need? Bloody footsteps leading up to the door?
Romance.
I've got what you might consider a weakness.
Daring missions.
The baby's coming to take him up!
And an unstoppable enemy. Your hero is under the gun, so draw your attention to all the May movies on KAYU.
A cure for the deadly AIDS virus may still be years off, but there may be a new drug that can control the symptoms. Greg Lefebvre has that story.
Fred Ponder says he's kept his AIDS virus in check with a drug that, like many others used by AIDS patients, is not licensed for use in the U.S. The drug is dextran sulfate, now being tested at San Francisco General Hospital's AIDS clinic.
Patients are very positive. We don't know whether it's just the placebo effect, what we call the placebo effect, the fact that they're receiving a drug, that they think that they're feeling so much better, or if it is a direct result of the dextran sulfate. But by and large, patients are feeling very well on the drug.
The drug appears to be passing its first test. It does not have any major toxic risk. But can its effectiveness be proven scientifically?
It blocks the virus's ability to enter the cell, and it blocks an infected cell's ability to infect its next door neighbor. So it's a new mechanism, and I think for that reason, it really does warrant further investigation to really see if it's effective or not.
But the so-called underground AIDS network already distributes dextran sulfate to an estimated 1,000 people in the U.S. They get it mostly from friends who buy it in Mexico and Japan.
Significant numbers of people who have large T-cell improvements and reversals of the P24 antigen, which is a measure of the level of viral activity going on.
Fred Ponder is one.
I feel great. I've never been sick. Additionally, it enables me to lower the dose of AZT, which, as you know, is a very toxic drug.
One of the beneficial side effects of dextran sulfate is it is cheap. Dextran sulfate costs about $90 per month per patient, 1/7 the cost of AZT. Greg Lefebvre, CNN, San Francisco.
Colombian police Monday stumbled onto $14 million worth of cocaine and cocaine manufacturing equipment. The discovery was made during a search for the alleged head of the Medellin drug cartel. More than 5,000 pounds of cocaine was seized, as well as 1,000 containers of chemicals used for drug processing. They also arrested some 30 people. The refining complex was located north of the capital city of Bogota. Some shaky moments Monday for 258 people on board a United States to Japan flight. United Airlines 747 Jumbo landed safely at Narita with only one of its 4 engines functioning. An airline spokesman said 2 engines shut down while the plane was 39,000 feet above the Pacific and 125 miles from its destination. But a Japanese news service said the pilot shut off the engines after noticing problems with the fuel system. Investigators have found small cracks around 6 of the rivets on an Aloha Airlines jet. The plane made an emergency landing Thursday after part of the fuselage was torn off in midair. The cracks appear to be caused by metal fatigue, but aviation officials say it's too soon to say whether they had anything to do with the accident. The 19-year-old 737 was inspected for cracks last November, and necessary repairs were made. A bill that would grant new health benefits to certain veterans with cancer is now on its way to the White House. Monday, the House of Representatives overwhelmingly approved the legislation, which has already been passed by the Senate. The measure would provide benefits to Americans who were exposed to radiation in the 1945 occupation of Japan or during post-World War II nuclear testing. The president has threatened to veto the bill. The New Jersey State Supreme Court is being asked to declare a viable unborn fetus a living person. That question was raised today in a case brought by a couple with a stillborn child seeking to sue their doctor. The couple asked the court to reverse a 1964 ruling that wrongful death suits can be filed only on behalf of a person, and defining a person as someone who has been born alive. New Jersey is one of only 8 states to bar suits over the death of a fetus. In New York, a week of anti-abortion protests began Monday. Leaders of the crusade have called it Operation Rescue. At least 80 people were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. Jeannie Mose reports.
It looked more like a medical evacuation than an anti-abortion demonstration, as one by one police loaded protesters on stretchers and carted them to waiting buses. Operation Rescue, the demonstrators call themselves, and their tactic is simple. Glory, glory, hallelujah. They simply sit down and block access to places where abortions are performed, in this case, a Manhattan doctor's office.
And the God-fearing people of this country must rise up and peacefully put their bodies against the gears and the wheels until we grind this Holocaust to a halt.
The anti-abortion protest attracted pro-choice counter-demonstrators. The two sides traded hymns and chants.
Racist, sexist, anti-gay, born-again bigots, go away! With the cross of Jesus growing on before.
pushed the pro-choice demonstrators back behind barricades.
We're furious.
Furious because the pro-choice people felt the police were treating the anti-abortion forces too gingerly, allowing them to effectively shut down the doctor's office for hours.
Some of the same people who were arrested Monday plan to get arrested Tuesday. Operation Rescue organizers say they'll blockade one abortion clinic a day every day this week.
Several hundred protesters are staying at Midtown Manhattan hotels. They have descended on New York from all over the country. In a drill they plan to repeat, demonstrators marched from their hotels to the subway. The idea was to keep police guessing about which abortion clinic they would target. First, they took a train headed downtown, then switched to a train headed uptown. They resurfaced and staged their sit-in before police could be sent in to prevent it. There were no incidents. Police never had to unsheath their nightsticks. Each demonstrator was photographed before boarding the bus. Operation Rescue is counting on mass arrest to highlight what they consider to be mass murder. Jeannie Moe, CNN, New York.
Headline Sports is next.
Where I work, plants come in all shapes and sizes, and no detail is too small to overlook. Like these, weeds. That's why my entire staff of 45 gardeners regularly uses Green Sweep Weed and Feed with Trimec. Because at Disneyland, even a little weed can be a big problem.
Green Sweep, the official lawn and garden products of Disneyland.
You'll take thousands of showers in your lifetime, which can damage your skin. So use aloe and lanolin soap. Aloe is legendary for healing skin. So no matter how many showers you take, use aloe and lanolin soap from Jergens. For centuries, women have worshipped aloe for its soothing properties. Jergens has combined aloe with lanolin in a lotion that helps heal dry, chapped skin. It's more than aloe. It's Jergens Aloe and Lanolin Lotion.
Just a reminder that every week in TV Guide, you'll find something fascinating. Pick up your copy of TV Guide today. It's the best thing on television, and it's on sale now.
The 24th century continues on Star Trek, The Next Generation. All the drama, the wonder, and excitement of Gene Roddenberry's original Space Odyssey are here in a new age of high adventure. Follow the voyages of the new Starship Enterprise and the lives of her crew on Star Trek, The Next Generation.
Saturday night at 7 on KAYU. I'm Steve Getty, Headline Sports. The big baseball news Monday centered on the Cincinnati Reds. First manager Pete Rose was suspended for 30 days for shoving umpire Dave Pallone on Saturday. Rose says he will appeal. Pallone, however, isn't saying much, if anything at all.
As far as the responsibility of a suspension of a player, it has to do with Mr. Giamatti in the National League office, and any comments by that will come from him. As far as my comment on the suspension, I have none.
Reds right-hander Ron Robinson provided much of the evening suspense. He retired the first 26 Expos he faced, but lost his perfect game when pinch hitter Wallace Johnson dropped in a single with 2 outs in the ninth. The Reds held on for a 3-2 victory as Tim Raines followed Johnson's antics with a home run. Mike Schmidt belted the 534th home run of his career, joining Jimmy Fox in the number 8 spot on the all-time home run list. And the Phillies clubbed the Astros 7-1. Rookie Ron Gant delivered a 3-run 7th-inning double, and Atlanta won its second straight 3-1 at New York. The Braves' victory over the Mets' Ron Darling marked his first loss in 9 decisions against Atlanta. Pittsburgh fell in L.A. The Cubs topped the Padres. The Cardinals took care of the Giants. Over 50,000 turned out in Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, including Morgana the Kissing Bandit. He got a hold of Cal Ripken Jr. in the first inning. He struck out, but in the third, he belted a solo homer in the O's 9-4 win over Texas. The Royals shut out Boston. Greg Swindell, 2 at the Angels. Oakland topped Detroit. The Yanks won in Chicago. Milwaukee took care of Minnesota. Seattle turned back Toronto. Washington went overtime to stay alive in the NBA's Eastern Conference quarterfinal series with Detroit. Jeff Malone scored 35 as the Bullets beat the Pistons 114-106. Phoenix, which failed to make the playoffs, fired coach John Wetzel Monday. And the Boston Bruins took the opener in the Wales Conference Championship Series, beating New Jersey 5-3. Steve Getty, Headline Sports.
In the headlines, Israel says its soldiers crossed into Lebanon looking for Palestinian guerrillas. Tension is increasing between the Polish government and striking workers demanding better pay. Michael Dukakis is favored to win Tuesday's presidential primaries in Ohio and Indiana. Jesse Jackson is expected to be the winner in the District of Columbia. Former White House aide Oliver North delivered the commencement address at Jerry Falwell's Liberty University. He called his indictment in the Iran-Contra affair a badge of honor. And the President and Mrs. Reagan have reportedly consulted an astrologer to help arrange their schedules. With the headlines, I'm Don Dale.
Tuesday's weather forecast shows scattered showers over most of New England, snow continuing through the northern Rockies. There'll be showers from Minnesota down to southeast Texas, rain at times heavy in the Pacific Northwest. Showers for Nevada and northern California, and a sunny day for most of the rest of the nation. Denver got an inch of snow Monday. That's the first time in 5 years the city's had snow in May. 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts and blowing snow caused delays at Denver's Stapleton Airport. And in San Francisco, public fountains are dry. Water is served only by request in the restaurants. That's all part of the city's first water rationing program in more than a decade. San Francisco imposed the program because of a second straight year of below normal rainfall. We'll have more news after this.
You've probably heard about pain relievers that sound new, but they're not new to hospitals. For years, hospitals have known about ibuprofen, aspirin, and Tylenol products. And today, their overwhelming choice, Tylenol. In fact, last year, they dispensed Tylenol 10 times more than the leading aspirin and ibuprofen brands combined. If hospitals use Tylenol most, shouldn't your choice be Tylenol too? Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
The Time Machine is here. A revolutionary new allergy-tested skincare system built around an anti-aging cream that actually works to reduce years of lines and wrinkles. So different that it's known by its laboratory code, FD29. So different that it can actually make your skin look visibly younger. The FD29 allergy-tested skincare system from Francis Denny.
Available at the Bond, Hess's, Lazarus, the May Company, California, and other fine stores.
In dollars and cents, crude oil prices took a tumble Monday on the world markets. The drop was in response to OPEC's failure to reach an agreement to cut production.